Hi, this is David. Welcome to a video review of Kevin Dowd's Chapter 2, which is Measures of Financial Risk. The Kevin Dowd textbook has been assigned in the FRM syllabus really since the beginning. So one of the oldest textbooks in the syllabus, very well seasoned. And it's no secret that I'm a huge fan. I think this is one of our best resources in the FRM syllabus. While not new, it is very solid on the foundation of value at risk. I think this is one of the best textbooks there is for value at risk and related topics, especially in the quantitative aspects. Kevin Dowd is a very talented author in terms of the math. And so you could do better than actually to read the whole book, not to mention just the assigned portions. So in terms of learning objectives that we have, you can see here we have some introduction mean variance framework. This has high overlap with topic 1 mean variance framework, and that's the Bodie and also Noel Amick assignments. So that's basically redundant. But then we have the core of this chapter really is defining the value at risk measure, defining the value at risk measure of risk and properties of a coherent risk measure and the meaning of each property. So we want to be mindful of this. Coherence turns out to be an important criteria for us, and we'll understand then why VAR is not coherent, and which raises the question, well, if we want something that's coherent and VAR is not coherent, what should we use? And in the FRM syllabus, the answer to that is the expected shortfall, and that was even before expected shortfall replaced VAR in the fundamental review of the trading book under the Basel regulations. So Kevin Dowd's ahead of his time in that respect, and then we take a look at some of the theory with spectral risk measures. But our core focus here is not so much the somewhat redundant coverage of the mean variance framework that will be familiar to you, but here, right, the deep dive on value at risk, then why the test of coherence, why VAR actually fails that test. Not to say it's not useful, VAR is still useful, but it does fail our test of coherence. And then coming to the rescue, so to speak, is expected shortfall. So expected shortfall is a competing metric to value at risk, but keep in mind that thematically in the FRM, oftentimes it's not a matter of substitution, but complement. So there are many use cases in which the answer would not be to discard value at risk and replace it with expected shortfall, but rather to complement value with expected shortfall. Just like with VAR, a very common use case would be look at not just one measure of VAR for a company or a portfolio, but several measures, maybe an 80% confident VAR to complement the 95% VAR, but we could throw in an expected shortfall to complement as well. So thematically, right, we tend to say that there's not one risk measure that magically is the best measure for everything, but that oftentimes we want to supplement with additional risk measures. We may have 2 measures of VAR, supplement with an expected shortfall, supplement that with scenario analysis. So describe the mean variance framework, and that would be familiar. Again, we were introduced that really actually in topic 1 of the FRM, and that when we say mean variance framework, I think the way to look at that is right in the language, right? That is a world in which we are describing risk and return with just the first 2 moments, right? What's the expected return? And then our measure of risk is variance, and its square root, standard deviation, are really the same. And so that's our very simple world where we measure risk in terms of both risk and return in terms of just those 2 moments. And also when we do that, we are conveniently tending to assume that returns obey a normal distribution.